Welcome to Hospitality. My name is Stefan Zarnecki of Black Tie Tours. With me, as always, Wesley Jones of Tour Cascadia and Cole Rogers, local artist. And we are joined today by a cheesemonger, cheese wizard, cheese scholar, cheese enthusiast, a native Oregonian, Kristen Kidney. Welcome to Hospitality, and thanks for having us here in your shop.
Oh, you are so welcome.
Yes, you have not been open, you opened during pandemic, right?
We officially opened September 1st of 2020, so we haven't quite hit 6 months.
Wow. What a year.
Yeah.
Brand spanking new. And what are we eating first?
So
I wanna eat.
we've got here a very popular choice, which is a combination of the Cheesemonger's Choice Board and the Butcher's Choice Board. So 3 cheeses, 3 meats.
Come on, let's hear what they are. I want to know.
So the kind of yellowish one at the top
Okay.
is from Helvetia Creamery in Helvetia, Oregon.
Okay.
It's their Bergkäse. It's kind of a Swissy style, but you get that nice toothsome texture similar to like a Manchego.
Excellent. Sounds
It's
good.
delicious. Clockwise there, we've got Tom Lestang from the Basque region of France, which is sheep's milk cheese.
Okay.
In my opinion, one of the wine-friendliest cheeses possible. And then you guys aren't drinking wine today, but it's not going to be bad with your beer and cider either, especially your Finn River.
Perfect.
And then the third cheese over there is also from French Basque Country, and it is Beth Malchev. So that one is a goat milk cheese.
Okay. Yummy.
The red salami there is Chorizo Rioja from Olympia Provisions.
Let's
so
go.
good.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got some dried tart cherries. This guy right here in the corner is some duck rillette and some cornichon. And then over there is a smoked duck breast with some Dijon mustard.
Don't mind if I do. So
Yeah.
that's a good start. I'm going to get a little dippy-do here, and then I'll ask my question before I start chomping.
That one quickly became very popular.
So, yeah, this looks great. So your cheese journey goes back to 2007.
Correct.
Ish. And you were kind of, I think, senior year, U of O, wrapping up your schooling, and you needed a job.
Yep.
And was a market of choice. Cheese steward position sounded like fun.
Yep.
You didn't think you were going to get it. Poof, now you're a cheese steward at Market of Choice. And you thought, what, this is kind of fun. I like this. Eventually, you ended up in Portland after a couple detours, or you were working at the vineyard or at the winery. Trinity, you're connected with Trinity Vineyards, right?
Yep. My parents own Trinity Vineyards, so I was the tasting room manager there for a little while. But
Yeah.
cheese was always my passion.
Slinging the wine, but yeah, wine paying the bills. Cheese was always in your heart.
Yes.
And you ended up in Portland, and you worked a couple years at a few different places up there, doing the same thing, kind of running cheese departments, or just being a cheese slinger, cheesemonger person at those locations.
I was running the departments.
running the
yes.
departments. And
Make no mistake.
Okay,
We got a boss at the table.
with I would say an iron fist, but a cheese fist, maybe Parmesan, nice and firm. But all the while in your mind thinking, "Gosh, I really like to have my own place."
That was always
Correct.
the goal, something I started kind of dreaming about at Market of Choice from the very beginning. I think I've always kind of had an entrepreneurial spirit as such. I blame my father for that. And, I knew I needed to build my resume, so I just continued working towards that, getting different cheese jobs along the way. And that was working for a while, and I thought maybe I'll just always do it for someone else. So I backburnered it. It never really went away. But then in the meantime, I'm working for other people, got married, bought a house, had a kid. And as my career continued, everything kind of converged to this was the logical next step. And my husband really called it out, and he was like, this is your calling, this is your passion, this is what you need to do. And so then I started looking for places, and I found this current location in November of 2019. finally got the keys on March 31st of 2020.
Oh my gosh.
Goodness sakes.
So, yeah, things were already
So
well
funny.
in motion before COVID hit,
Yeah.
and I wasn't going to walk away at that point.
Right.
The rumors were already swirling in Newburgh, just so you know. Like, hey, what's going to happen with that? I heard there's going to be a cheesemonger in there. There's going to be a cheesemonger in there? Like, people were super excited.
Well,
You were
I did that purposely. I papered the
Awesome.
windows to kind of make it so people had
mystery.
to, maintain some mystery, and
I love
honestly,
it.
so people couldn't see the mess inside too.
Oh, fair enough. Sure.
And then I put some kind of cryptic, cheesy signs in the windows. So
Love it. It's a game. So going back to your origins, the beginning, what was there like a moment, a cheese or something that happened that you were like, I want to do cheese. I want cheese to just be my life. Like I get that. Like cheese is so good, but like what was the
I can't remember a specific moment. I think it wasn't even really a slow build. It was a pretty quick build, but it didn't take me long. I was only at Market of Choice for a year, like one calendar year, and I was in it all the way, not going anywhere.
the passion was there
cheese.
right from the get-go?
Yep, that was, life decisions were made.
Yeah. And did you have like a cheese mentor, or someone who showed you the way, like a Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan or Yoda?
Not specifically. I did have really great experienced coworkers, but Market of Choice was really good about fostering education. So I learned everything on the job, mostly by reading. If we were slow, they'd put a book in my hand and say, "Go upstairs and read." And I was still a
great.
student, so
Wow.
I was already in the mindset of absorbing and learning information, and I was like a sponge
Yeah.
for cheese information. So
I'm curious, what about specifically cheese for you? Like, is it the chemistry of cheese, or is it like the sort of artistic side of the cheese industry, or what about it? Farming, geography? What is it that interests you about cheese?
it's a lot more kind of the artistry, the farming, and the geography.
Sure.
Cheese is an extremely traditional food, and so I love kind of supporting that part of the food chain and food history, and that's kind of a cheesemonger's job, is to tell the stories of the cheesemakers, tell the story of the farmer,
Yeah.
and
Like a winemaker does for grapes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Are there like cheese renegades in the business where they're like, oh my gosh, they are not supposed to be adding red wine or adding capers or like
Oh,
Are there
yeah.
rules that people are breaking?
other cheesemakers are like, that guy's fucking crazy.
Tradition.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
they wear like leather jackets and have like posses and
I mean, probably more so than wine, maybe equal to beer. 'Cause
Okay.
There's some people doing weird shit out there.
and then there's old school who are just like, "Ugh."
Oh, yes.
I know.
Traditionalist.
Extremely old school. And
Yeah,
I
love
mean, there's obviously the name controlled stuff in Europe that people have served jail time over violating those rules.
Wow.
There was a story, it was some years back, some guys were messing around with the mozzarella di bufala, and they went to jail.
You
Italy
do not
was
mess around
like,
with the
For
mozzarella
copying the
mafia.
recipe?
no, for not following the rules. You have to follow the rules by law.
Oh, I see.
For production,
make that- to call it that
to
specific
call it
cheese.
that.
Oh, I
yeah.
Like
see.
they
Okay.
they aged it too long or something, or used a.
I don't
rennet that's
remember what-
It'd be like
different,
calling a champagne without having X amount of
think that-
Chardonnay or Pinot Noir in it, something like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they literally did
That's
time.
crazy.
rebels.
Californians buying Pinot and splitting it with theirs and calling it Willamette Valley Pinot
Yeah,
Noir.
9%.
Oh,
9%
yeah.
California, we're looking at you.
Wouldn't happen. No.
Not that they want our grapes or anything. Their wine's way better. But anyways.
You don't have any like crazy cheese tattoos, do you?
I have 0 tattoos.
Okay. All right. Well, have you seen any good ones? I should look. I want to do
Yeah,
a Google search on that. Actually.
Google cheesy tattoos.
Cheese-
and
One
see
that-
what
But thanks, Dad.
One that I've seen done, and it looks really cool, and it's somewhat common, is to have the set of parm knives. Just like chefs have knives, but it's parm knives.
That's
so
cool.
that they always look really cool. but no, I don't
Someday.
have any tattoos.
Someday you'll have that.
Where in the world would you travel if you got to get on a plane tomorrow to go to a cheese destination and visit historical cheesemakers?
Switzerland.
Yeah.
Mm.
Switzerland, yes.
Any particular cheesemakers in mind?
I would specifically want to go to Walter Ross's operation. He makes Hallerhacker. Swiss cheese is kind of specific in that it's usually made on kind of a cooperative level, so individual cheesemakers aren't always named out in
Okay.
Switzerland.
Interesting.
And he used to be part of that. He used to just make Appenzeller. And then he developed his own recipe. And I carry the cheese because it's bomb. And I've listened to a couple seminars with him, and he just seems like a really fun and interesting guy. And so,
And all Swiss cheese doesn't have like holes in it. It is like the exact
No.
Swiss cheese you see in the store.
nope.
Okay.
Swiss cheese meaning cheese from
Sure,
Switzerland.
sure,
Right.
sure.
Yes.
What style would you say his cheese is closest to? Like a Parmesan, Reggiano, or like a?
It's very Gruyere-like,
Okay.
or, probably definitely very Appenzeller-like, because that's what he made for years and years. But his is there's notable differences. You've had to probably, unless you eat them all the time like I do, you'd have to taste them side by side to note the differences,
Right.
but there are definite differences there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Not all Swiss cheese has holes in it. And
Not all Swiss
Even though
cheese
it's-
has
Where,
holes in
where,
it.
why does some Swiss cheese have holes in it?
It's a specific recipe and the make, and the holes are created by fermentation and the gases
So
going through the
they're
cheese,
like
and
little
so the
air
bubbles
pockets?
are. Yeah, exactly. The bubbles are trapped.
Oh, I see. Yeah. When you see like we've seen fermentation happen when the bubbles pop
Right.
up, or when you're making bread, it's like those holes stay almost.
Yep, exactly.
okay.
The exact same thing, and
That's fascinating.
extremely similar process. It
Fun
is
fact.
all
As a-
fermentation.
Yeah.
As a kid, there was a short time where I actually thought the moon was made out of cheese. So
Yeah.
I believe
was,
that.
I mean,
What does
that,
that mean?
might be destination number 2 is go check out the moon and let's inspect this.
Little cheese.
After
little cheese
Switzerland, we'll go to the moon.
Little cheese party up there with Elon Musk and whoever else.
How about Wallace and Gromit instead?
Wallace-
I prefer that.
there you go.
there we go. There we go. Ian just got so excited.
I love Wallace and Gromit.
Now, when it comes to choosing what cheeses you're going to put into your store, where do you start? How do you make that decision? What's your thought process?
I've been doing this long enough that I have a pretty strong grasp on customer buying habits, what people like, what they ask for, what they expect to see.
Yeah.
I'm bringing in new stuff constantly, not just to keep things fresh for the customers and keep them interested, but it's also really good for the employees. It keeps things fun for them. And if they're having fun, then customers are going to have fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that cannot be underestimated.
Yep.
I started with, it was hard for me to narrow down the cheeses to start the original set with, having not worked in this market before. I had
Sure.
been in Northwest Portland for 7 years. So I kind of went with some greatest hits and then some more esoteric stuff. I wanted to be different than the Fred Meyer down the street and just have different things available as much as possible. And so I had some more kind of, I don't know, beginner cheeses, some middle of the road cheeses, some more advanced cheeses. And Newberg went straight for the advanced cheeses. They like bypassed the quote unquote
Yeah.
beginner cheeses.
Good job, Newberg.
Makes us
They
proud.
did.
Take a lot of pride in that.
I think that everyone was just ready. Everyone's palates
Yeah.
were ready. Everyone is ready for good cheese. And it's not like the beginner cheeses are bad at all. They're just like more approachable. But I was also coming from a grocery background where
Yeah.
people were buying cheese maybe for some different reasons. I haven't yet gotten the question, or at least not much here, of like, kids are going to be eating this cheese. What should I get? And I
Right.
was kind of prepared for that, and it hasn't happened.
Okay.
So I'm getting,
A lot of cheese
Wine
board.
tasting.
A lot of
Right.
cheese board cheese.
Right.
cheese boards,
Highlighted.
some recipes, some sandwiches.
Right.
I think that means you're hitting the right demographic in your target market. If you're,
I
because
am.
those are the people you want, right? The people that are tasting wine and actually understand fine cheeses and.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Good.
fun.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's a mutually beneficial thing. It's fun for me. I live vicariously by providing yummy cheese for people. I mean, people get a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm just like, oh god, I'm like so happy for you.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah,
you're gonna have
totally.
so much fun.
So if I'm
amazing.
I'm one of your customers, I walk in the door and I say, "Oh, I need some cheese." You say,
What do you like?
I say, "Well, I don't know. I like cheddar, but I also like sheep I like everything." So they give you kind of a vague answer or whatever. Like,
Happens all the time.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so what's your next question? What's your next step?
I usually ask what they're using it for. Is it like just for a cheese plate, or was
Okay.
it for a recipe?
Okay, it's for a cheese plate.
For a cheese plate, are you going to be drinking any particular beverages?
So this is great. My friends and I will probably have some white wine.
White wine.
Yes.
Okay. Do you prefer softer cheeses or firmer cheeses, or would you like a variety?
I think a variety, Wesley.
I think a variety.
A variety.
A variety?
What are you gonna hit me with?
Well, there's a certain amount of kind of like reading the customer and feeling their vibe. I don't know if I just have kind of this cheese spidey sense that I can usually kind of guess, like, you
You've been
are
after
going to
it
be
for a while.
into this.
Say they're wearing like a shirt that has a bunch of Volvo wagons on it.
It's not about clothing. It's about like
Okay.
vibe, energy, aura. I don't
right.
know. So
Okay.
everyone has a cheese aura. I
You can see
guess.
that twinkle in their eye.
Yes.
This is what Charles was talking about with reading somebody in like 30 seconds,
Yeah.
right, at a restaurant.
Well, because
That's
you've been
a
front
I mean,
of
I,
house
I waited
yeah.
tables
hospitality.
too.
So you know that
Yep.
ability to read a person and
Right.
dial in on exactly what they're looking for, or at least know the direction on where to take the conversation.
Sure.
Or at least a starting point, and then we can go
Is this
from
the
there.
first cheese plate they've ever bought, or do they do this every weekend,
It's-
and this is the first time they've been here kind of thing?
And usually they kind of let on to that
Of course.
pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
Of course.
Yeah. But it's like this constantly evolving and moving flow chart that's in your brain.
Yep.
That is constantly receiving data, but then also you're accessing all of this information at the same time. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, trying to make the right decision for them, right?
It's a
Right.
conversation. Every
Yeah.
transaction's a conversation. Unless someone comes in and says, I want this and this and this. Okay. I can do that too.
Yeah.
But I like the
That's
conversation.
the creativity,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's really cool.
What are some challenges of the cheesemongering business, the cheesemongering world that maybe a lay person like us wouldn't know about?
That not everything is available that you wish it was. I've gotten a lot of questions over the years of, I had this one cheese in Paris 10 years ago. It was fantastic. Do you have it? I'm like, well, I have no idea. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to give me more.
That's vague.
Or if they do have the name of it, they're sometimes upset that I'm not able to get it for them. I was like, well, that cheese isn't exported, or if it is, it's not imported by my distributors. It's not available to me. So there are a ton of cheeses out there, and not all of them are accessible.
Yeah.
Or there are some cheeses that are accessible if you want to pay an arm and a leg in shipping.
So that's why you have to go to Switzerland.
Yeah.
Now, you could probably go to Switzerland and bring back a suitcase full of cheese, right? Or are they going to stop you at customs and go,
I haven't personally tried it.
well, I'm willing to try it.
If it means I could go to Switzerland, I would try it too.
There we go.
I don't do anything once.
Let's go.
Yeah.
In theory,
Cheese
yes,
fries
I
free.
would not be able to bring back in a suitcase enough to sell.
Right.
I mean,
But enough to justify a trip to Switzerland.
anything to justify a trip to
How
Switzerland.
Exactly.
difficult
There
is
you
the
go.
distributorship game? Is there like a distributor mafia where like 2 or 3 distributors run the whole market?
Yes.
Or yeah. Is that
Yes.
frustrating?
Yes. I was actually just talking to my employee Elise about it today, that a certain grocery buyer has a lot of say in the market just because of sheer buying power and
Right.
volume.
Amazon?
No.
Okay.
It's
And-
somebody.
One of the big
And if
players.
you-
It's somebody.
I've been ordering from the same distributors for years.
Right.
And so I'm extremely familiar with everything they offer, and watching their selections change over time. And then you go to the store and you see what's in the case and be like, oh, they're carrying what that person asked them to carry.
Yeah.
And then when they're not buying it, they drop other items. So there's been some things that I used to be able to get that I can't get anymore. And so, yeah, there is. And there is also literally cheese mafia, too.
Oh,
Like Gangs
God.
of New York style?
I mean,
Yeah?
Wisconsin's not
Well, we
that
got
far from Chicago.
Probably more Goodfellas. and
There's a lot of
Godfather.
Italian cheese producers
We gotta build
in
a butcher in the cheese
Wisconsin,
industry.
and some of them are very, very secretive.
Wow.
Huh.
And
Do we need to cut this portion of the podcast? So you don't,
Yeah.
you don't
I'm
get
not
Don't
rubbed,
naming
say any
anybody.
names. I've
you
got
don't
a
get
kid.
rubbed out.
rumor has it that certain ones are mob run.
I believe it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fucking
Wow.
mob, man. Tell you
Cheese
what.
mafia.
Cheese
We
mafia.
need a
hey.
documentary on this.
My great grandfather was.
You might be sleeping with the
booze.
fishes soon.
I'm sorry, I take it back. There's now, as a cheese consumer, does
Yes.
it break your heart when people like me eat all the way to the moldy rind and then just put it down?
No, it does not. Some people would disagree with me on that.
Yeah.
Number one, the rind on that one isn't necessarily meant to be eaten. None of the rinds are going to hurt you. Like, nothing's going to hurt you. It might taste like dirt,
COVID.
Yeah.
but it's nothing's going to hurt you. And honestly, the cheese is meant for you to enjoy it. It's not for me to tell you how you should enjoy it. If you don't want to eat the rind, don't eat the rind.
But to a
It's-
cheese purist, like it's not like a dry aged steak where you chop off the sides. Like it's you eat the rind if you're a purist, right?
If you're a purist, depending on the cheese, yes.
Okay. So Wesley's not.
So
Just
if
so
I'm
you're
like
clear.
Depending on
eating,
the cheese.
if I'm eating
Wesley's basically
Parmesan
a basic bitch when it comes to
and
cheese.
it's been aged perfectly, and I for some reason don't like that waxy outer portion.
The rind is inedible on Parmesan. You're gonna have a really, really hard time chewing
okay.
through that.
Good.
Parmesan doesn't have any rind added to it.
I eat
It's
the
just
rind
been
every time.
aged long enough
Yeah.
that it's a layer of cheese that has
Okay.
been exposed to air and
Okay.
dried long enough. So it's actually really thick.
Aren't
Okay.
there like specific recipes that are just
Yes.
use the rind from
Yes.
Parmesan?
Never throw away your parm rinds.
Really?
Stick them in the freezer, save them, throw it in your stocks, your
Oh.
soups, your sauces. You can literally make Reggiano broth.
Oh
if
my
you haven't.
god!
Even if it has like the ink printed on the outside.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's completely
Yeah.
food
Reggiano's
safe.
Wow.
my favorite.
Hey Siri, remind me at 9:00 p.m. to look up Parmesan Reggiano broth.
It's like 3 ingredients. It's so easy.
Ah.
Because all the salt and the umami is in the rind.
Delilah, we're making that. That sounds.
I'm making
amazing.
some Parmesan
See this?
Reggiano broth.
Not only are we live documenting our conversations and our wine journey, it's also Wes's journey into all things food and beverage.
Well, Wes's
I'm
journey.
I'm learning about all this.
I was
as we
more
go.
ignorant to all this than Wes was before this all started. I think, or on an equal playing field.
The number of times we have screenshots of me being like,
What is this magic?
Wesley's face is the
It's
funnest
so
thing
fun.
to like photograph.
So excited.
now, who is your main consumer group, your demographic? Is it folks coming in buying for their houses? Is it wineries putting together charcuterie boards? Obviously, COVID's been tough for us all making food programs. Is it restaurants? Who's kind of keeping the lights on?
Right now, it's mostly customers coming in and buying for home because they can't do dine-in.
Okay.
When the weather is somewhat cooperative, we have outside tables, but it's February in Oregon, so
Yeah.
you know.
No doubt.
And then things with wineries have been really good and really lucrative in the past, but that's challenging.
Right.
That's one thing I'm kind of like, whoa, finding out today that in 3 days we can be open 25%.
Thank the cheese
And
gods.
so I already have a lot of projects in the works right now, and I'm like, could be a lot, kind of all
Right,
at once.
right.
It almost could be. I mean, for you specifically, because you opened literally in the middle of the like, at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, it's not necessarily a blessing in disguise, but it's like the perfect sort of training. It's like running
Yeah.
with a weight vest on and then taking it off and running after, and you're like, wow, this is a lot easier.
No,
Like,
that's like the absolute silver lining
Yeah.
of all of this is that we almost are kind of in this perpetual soft open.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, like a pandemic or a emergency or whatever teaches you to run lean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you cut the costs where they, you know,
Right.
And the
you can get-
unnecessary, you kind of figure
Yeah,
out what
you-
works and what doesn't real quick,
You
probably.
can get really
too.
ruthless really quick
Yeah.
in that way. But you
I
kinda
try not to
started
do
that way.
business that way, though, quite honestly.
Ruthless, but like.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, maybe I can't do this project right now, but you know, we'll put that on the back burner
Right.
until.
Your priority list becomes really clear really fast.
Yes.
This is where my marketing budget's going. This is where, you know,
Yeah,
X, Y, and
and
Z.
I mean, we changed the menu after the first day.
yeah.
Because the
Wow.
first day was rough, but I hadn't been open
Right.
before. I
Yeah.
didn't know. We had tried out, and I came home and I was like, that sucked.
Yeah.
Like, that did not.
Let's not
this
do that
didn't work.
again.
This didn't work. This didn't work. And just kind of talking it over with my
Right.
husband, he's like, then don't do it anymore. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I can do whatever I
you're
want
the
because
owner.
it's my
Right.
damn business.
There
now.
you go.
Right.
So I came in and I told the crew, I'm like, hey, so menu cut. Like, this is
Yeah.
what we're doing now. And one of my business philosophies has been from the beginning, and I keep coming back to it, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Yeah.
And that really
for
keeps
sure.
us focused on doing what we do best. And it's keeping it all about the cheese. Because, yeah, trust me, people, when you have a business, like to come in with a lot of you
Oh, there's a lot of
shoulds.
jams and
Yes,
a lot of
you're
little
absolutely right.
hazelnuts and little nooks and things that people want to sell you, I'm sure.
Oh,
But
it's
no, you're right about the you should.
unreal.
oh,
Right.
people coming. You should do this.
You should carry
do
this.
Yeah.
You should-
Well, it's not just you should carry this. You should make this. You should take on this project. You should do this. And
You
yeah,
should buy this
sometimes they're good ideas, and sometimes the feedback is really welcome. Like starting a cheese club. It's on my list of things
yeah,
to
or
do.
they're good ideas for the wrong time. You know,
Yeah.
like it's like, okay,
Like,
maybe
we'll
in a
get
year
there.
or two.
Not during COVID, maybe, but
Right.
later.
Well, it's not even COVID. It's like hey, can we just like be open for a tick?
Yeah.
Can I just
Right.
like
Right. Figure out how all this works.
And
Yeah.
figure out who your cheese club members are going to be and stuff. Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
that means I have to figure out packaging and shipping logistics.
Yeah,
That is
right.
not.
Is there similar? I'm sure there's not similar like cheese, like compared to alcohol, especially wine. Shipping stuff doesn't. You can't like not ship stuff into Missouri, right?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like pretty simple as
yet.
far
Yeah.
as
Cheese
shipping.
mafia, they can be real
Utah isn't
motherfuckers.
cutting it.
Yeah, unless you're shipping to that one
Wisconsin,
place.
they're not letting any cheese
Wisconsin,
in.
you can't ship
They
to.
got
period.
cheese sniffing dogs at the post offices.
Yeah.
Now, from a winery standpoint, that's my world right now,
Mm-hmm.
particularly hospitality. How are you working with wineries? What are sort of your options as far as helping them build a charcuterie program?
I do a wholesale program.
Okay.
And it can look one of two ways. Either I make the cheese plates, which is a really popular option because there's no labor involved for the wineries.
Right.
Amen.
And everything is individually packaged.
Single serve.
Single serve, super COVID safe, no dishes. Someone wants one, you hand it to them.
Composting
That's it.
tray or whatever.
Yep, it's a
Done.
compostable tray.
Are people typically doing like 2 or 3 of those for a tasting room for the day, or are they doing a bunch of them?
I had one winery that before the shutdown in November was doing 90 to 100 a week.
Okay. Awesome.
And they're
Yes.
just
Just so
picking them
people,
up every
just so
day.
people in the
That's
valley
It's a
know.
lot of cheese.
Yes.
a lot of
Well,
cheese.
just so people know what you're capable of doing in a week and what
Yeah.
they can order.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
good to know.
Right.
And those were all paired with the wines. We sat down and I brought a selection and we
Cool.
tried them with the wines, made sure they worked with that individual winery's wines, because that's the point. Is they're trying to sell wine, not sell cheese.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you want to highlight the wines, and if you go on and tell people Oregon wines and our wines are so food friendly, but they don't have a little bit of salt, a little bit of fat in their mouth, and they tell them that, it's kind of in one ear
tell
out
you
the
what,
other.
Though, yeah, that's a trick because there's a lot of cheeses that just don't pair well with wines. Like
Oh, yeah.
they're fucking nasty with
Yeah.
wine.
I've had
sometimes.
some.
Like,
I've had some. I was given medium Tillamook cheddar at a winery once, and I mean, it's. I'm not gonna lie. It is in my fridge at home 100% of the time. I don't have anything against Tillamook cheddar. It was heinous with this Pinot.
But I mean,
absolutely
even
heinous.
So, like, okay, so I like stinky, soft ripened cheeses, but like, I don't eat that with Pinot. Like,
No.
it can just like bring out this bitterness and like harshness in the wine. Like, you'd kind of think, oh, nice fine wine, fine cheese. It does not.
No.
So there is a real art to that pairing.
There is.
Yeah.
There is, and so
And it can make a bad wine taste way better when you pair it right with the wine.
yeah.
It can kind of mask it. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's true. It's like It's the other end
completely
of the spectrum.
overpowers
Right.
it,
Yeah.
or the wine completely overpowers the cheese. So you're like, well, what was the point?
Yeah.
I don't
But
even
this is the
taste
importance
anything.
of having someone who knows
Absolutely.
cheese and wine
Totally.
and the pairings, like helping you build that board. Because
Yeah.
if it was up to me, I don't know the first place to start. I'm gonna find something that's pretty cheap,
Yep.
that's single serve, and I'm gonna put it on a table and like
Sounds
taste it
impressive
and be like,
to say.
I can make up a spiel as a salesperson. I can sell you on the idea.
Yeah.
But if you want to do it well, it's really nice to
Yeah.
have a local resource, someone who knows what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
it elevates the whole experience
Right.
when it's something very particular that that person wine tasting's not gonna find everywhere at every other winery or just at Winco or whatever.
absolutely.
Right.
And
Makes a big difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're running a little long, but I think we're going to take a little break.
Yeah.
Because
Let's do
you don't have that much beer left. You don't have that much beer left.
I need another beer.
So we'll come back in just a few minutes and move on. But this has been great.
Beautiful.
We'll be right back. All right. Welcome back to Hospitality. Lady and gentlemen, we are going to discuss top spots for cheese lovers in the Willamette Valley. And this, again, as kind of always, is focused on wine country. There are wonderful cheese options up in Portland.
Yeah.
Eugene, to say Willamette Valley is, I guess it's technically part of the
It's
Willamette
still in the
Valley.
valley.
Well, Kings
We
Estate does
focus
have
on-
good cheese plate apparently, but I never tasted it. Neither of probably either of you guys, so we
Nope.
can't really comment
It's
on
been
it.
years since I've been down there.
Yeah.
We need to make a road
Um,
trip.
We do.
But yeah, but more kind of focused on this area here, the concentration of the wineries, wine country. So of course, that is why we are here. Cheese for the Good Company. Good Company, cheese bar, and
bistro.
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 Actually, pausing on that, the bistro part is one thing we haven't really mentioned.
Yeah.
You have a lovely little menu. So you can come to the cheese bar, to Good Company,
Yes.
and eat. And you have more than just cheese. Of course, you can make a wonderful cheese meat platters and everything. You do a great little fondue.
Yeah, the fondue is very popular.
So good. I highly recommend it. I've had it multiple times. And
we're gonna
then
come back double date.
sandwich you do a couple sandwiches, one sandwich?
couple sandwiches.
Couple sandwiches. So it's pretty simple right now.
Yeah.
But you can come and have a little date and have lunch, and I highly recommend it. And of course, you do some cocktails.
Full bar.
Full
Full
bar.
bar. I got
Bam.
some
I know. I'm
footage.
looking.
We'll put it
I'm
in.
seeing some
Okay.
scotch up there.
Yeah.
Good whiskeys.
Spirits and cocktails pairings with cheese is kind of a fun, often unexplored.
Oh
venue,
my
which-
gosh,
Something
that
we
sounds
might need to explore.
phenomenal.
Why I wanted to go
Hell yeah.
full bar.
Hell yeah.
Well, lots of reasons, but
hat's off to you.
yeah. Also, it's like the liquor license wasn't like that much more expensive. So it's like, why
You already
not?
got the food.
Yeah, let's go.
I mean, cheese and whiskey is really fun.
I'm
I
way
know.
open
This
to
place
whiskey
is
and
gonna.
cheese.
This place is gonna pop
Yeah.
when COVID's over.
Oh my
and,
God.
so-
Yeah, a lot of people haven't realized that we have a full bar, and
Yeah.
we try to keep the cocktails creative and fun.
Very exciting. Very exciting. So come.
Yeah.
So, Good Company cheese.
That adds a lot.
Obviously, this is like a mecca for cheese in
Yeah.
the Willamette Valley. You have a wonderful selection. I love talking cheese with you, and you can always get me what I need. But then, of course, charcuterie as well.
Yep.
Big selection of charcuterie.
Big selection.
Fun stuff.
they've
Truffle
got it
stuff.
all.
Rillettes and
Yeah.
pâtés, truffle pâtés, and all kinds of stuff that... if you like that kind of stuff, come. This is really the best place to
Right,
get
it's
it
perfect.
here
and,
in this
and
area.
shout out to our friend Sam Pata, who put me onto this place
Ah.
because you carried his wine.
Yep. I
Um,
have his Tempranillo.
and he, I mean, he told me like 2 or 3 times throughout our interview with him, like, hey, go to Good Company. It's more than just a little wine bar or cheese. Like they have everything. So I think it was 2 days after our interview with him, I came in for the first time.
That's the place to be.
I believe
Thank
when
you,
Sam
Sam.
tells me to go somewhere, I usually believe to go.
Yeah.
Sam, we trust you.
Sam's a
Potter
good guy.
is
Good work, Sam.
He's got good taste.
So this is the Mecca. There are some other good options as well.
Certainly.
Red Hills Market.
Yep.
They've got a nice little cheese selection. Like what
Yeah.
they have, I like.
What doesn't
Yeah.
Red Hills Market have?
Right, they carry they have Red Hawk, which is one of my favorite cheeses.
Yeah.
But they also have like little cheese. You can obviously get like a cheese plate, the charcuterie board they call it,
Sure.
or whatever. But they have a cold case, a couple cold cases, I
Yeah,
think.
It's kind of one of the reasons they're such an amazing spot for stopping in when you're going tasting is because they have like whether you want a full lunch or whether you want just a little, not the selection that this place will have, but like a little bit less of a selection and just a good quality cheese selection with some charcuterie.
Grab and go.
Yeah.
You're in the Dundee Hills for your tour. Go grab some meats and cheese.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally.
Yeah.
Good
It's
options.
convenient.
If you're looking for nicer cheese.
Yeah.
Not
Totally.
just the normal stuff. What else? Oh, Pirano and Daughter. Over in McMinnville, adjacent to Nick's
Nick's.
Italian Cafe.
Yep. It's a cool spot.
Yeah.
They also make killer espresso.
Oh,
Okay.
didn't know.
Yeah. I'm a coffee guy.
I haven't
so-
been, so I can't comment, but I support them.
Well, and they have like
Yeah.
noodles you could take home, like heirloom wheat varietals of noodles. Take home.
Yeah,
Make
nice
pasta.
little selection of high
Yeah.
quality, nice stuff,
Yeah.
charcuterie, cheese, etc. So if you're in McMinnville, that's a good option.
Yeah. Briar Rose. I'm at the winery I work at. We use Briar Rose, and I go up there probably.
Now,
I don't
Briar
know,
Rose is
once
a
a month.
creamery.
It's a creamery, so they're
Yeah.
making all their own cheeses.
Yes.
Really, really great people.
Yep.
You come up to it, and it feels like you're on the farm. Like it's this
Oh.
little kind of
It is informal.
completely informal is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
It's a little farm shop.
It is,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's not going to be the Tillamook Creamery experience.
No,
No.
no.
It's a more hole in the wall, but not hole in the wall is a bad way to explain it because
In a
it's
good
a very
way.
they have a very professional experience,
Yeah.
but smaller, more personalized,
It's
more
craft.
I
More
love their
intimate.
Maya. Their Butterbloom is phenomenal.
Butterbloom is one of my
It's
favorites,
so
yeah.
good.
It's a nice ability to buy the cheese directly from
Right.
the cheesemaker.
Absolutely.
You're not
Yeah.
going to necessarily be able to get eyes on the operation. It's not set up like that.
Right.
There's no tours.
No, there's
like
not
Tillamook,
flash,
But it's
you know.
just when you're out in the area, it's a good
Right.
kind
One of my
little
favorite
John
things-
It's like going to a
Stock
tasting
up.
room and the winemaker is the one pouring the wine, and you get to ask them all the questions about how they made the wine, and they're so passionate about it and stuff.
Right.
That's the Briar Rose
It
experience.
leans
Exactly.
into the I describe our valley, and I've said this a bunch of times, as a rural farming community that makes world class product.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you
Yeah.
walk in, you feel like you're in a rural farm community, and you
Well,
get a
one of
world
my
class product.
favorite things is to be doing an event like the Allison does some events. Oh gosh, what's it called? I can't remember. Benefit event or something where we're selling our truffle oil at a booth, and I love getting paired right next to Briar Rose
Oh.
Creamery.
Absolutely.
It's like, hey, our truffle oil pairs well with a Briar Rose, and they give me samples. And at the end of the day, they're always happy to barter cheese for truffle oil, and I'm a happy boy.
Stefan shamelessly plugging his truffle oil. which
Oh
is
my
also,
gosh!
Which is also
oh
for
my
sale.
gosh!
And also
um,
on the shelf. At
It
Good
is.
Company.
It is here,
But it's
On
pretty
the shelf.
It's pretty
This is
goddamn
the place
good.
to get it. This
So-
is the place to get it.
So there's also some really nice wineries that have some nice cheese plates you can get if you happen to be tasting and you didn't pick up a plate from Good Company or Red Hills Market or whatever. So Faircing, Brooks, and Domain Serene all have a really awesome.
programs.
Yeah, you can get something that's going to pair really well with your wine. And yeah, if you don't come prepared and you just want to buy something at the winery,
Right.
those are good options.
Dobbs is getting cheese from us too.
Dobbs as
Cool.
well. Okay,
Dobbs,
good to
okay.
know.
Good.
Good to know.
There are a lot of cheese boards out there. We should put like a list on them.
Yeah,
But,
we're just-
Because with COVID, like a lot of the wineries have pulled back
Yeah.
on their food production side.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
right now it's a little bit strange. It's different than what
Well,
it was a year and a half
Everything's
ago.
changed.
Yeah.
Like a year and a half ago, we knew who all had great charcuterie boards.
Oh, yeah.
So now it's kind of
Yeah.
It's all
everything's
over.
single serve and
Faircing-
reimagined.
Faircing is one of my favorites in the best of
their
times and worst
their
times.
St. Helens tasting is phenomenal.
It's a great. Yeah, I don't know if they're still doing it. The St. Helens. The
It
Are they
was,
not?
It was if
I
it's
don't
not
think so,
still.
but the Jefferson, they are doing the Jefferson. And that's
They
the
are?
one with
Okay.
like the cheese and meat.
Okay.
But they have like nice stuff. Like
Right.
it's a good one. So
Yeah.
good job, Brandy
Yeah.
and Mike and
Yep.
Mary and
You've
everybody
done
out
well.
there. So yeah, so lots of good options, but definitely call ahead. And honestly, right now during the slow time, people should call ahead if they want to order meat and cheese
Yes.
because
Just make sure they're
they run
ordering it and
out
stuff
and they, you know,
Right.
and honestly for a
These are trying
winery, like
times.
they're not food service, like
right.
No.
you know, it's
They might not
it
order it
helps
on a
them
busy
out
weekend
if
or
they
something.
can get that done ahead of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
At Roy,
sure.
we get all of our stuff from Olympia Provisions and then Briar Rose.
Yeah.
It's a really great little pairing.
Good
Mhm.
hookup.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so to talk about cheese, we're gonna venture somewhat out of the Willamette Valley, but not that direction. We're gonna venture the other direction, the other side of the Coast Range.
Yeah.
Where there's, you've got the Tillamook Creamery. I mean,
It's
cheese,
so
cheese
close.
factory. It's right there. It's fucking huge. You can go have a grilled cheese and clam chowder and
Get some
tour.
curds.
What's that?
Get some curds.
The
Squeaky
squeaky
cheese.
cheese. Yeah, it kind of is a whole thing.
Yeah.
Like if
It's an experience.
you are a big cheese fan and you understand what you're getting when you go there,
Right.
that it's
Right.
going to be touristy.
Well, if you have
it's
kids-
not going to be fine cheese.
Like
but
as a
it's-
kid, some of my favorite memories are going to the coast for like field trips and going to the Tillamook Cheese Factory.
It is a cool experience, honestly. And if you're in the Willamette Valley, if you're here I would say as a tourist, especially, maybe a good day trip to go out. If you happen to be going to the coast, I wouldn't make it just the single thing you would do to go out to Tillamook, but it's a great
you can go
hour
do a
stop
hike
on
or
the way
whatever.
to a great hike or
I know
a great
couple of
beach
tour
trip.
companies that could put together killer coast.
We could. We know
Absolutely.
the spots out there.
Yeah, yeah.
The Fish Peddler gets some oysters or the fish and chips
Jacobson
across.
Salt Company.
Oh man.
Couple of nice hikes.
Also, but like right in Tillamook.
Shameless plugs again.
Right in Tillamook, nearby the Tillamook Cheese Factory, is the Blue Heron,
Yep.
which we've sold them truffle oil for years, but I had never been out there, and I was just out there actually during COVID, and it's kind of a cool little place. Like they have a nice little market. You can get ice cream. You can order. They have a little dinky restaurant with a seating area, and there's like chickens and shit, and like it.
it's a
kind
real
of
farm.
Chickens and shit. You know it's going to be
No,
cool.
literally, there's chickens and there's shit because there's chickens
Well,
shitting
chickens
everywhere.
and shit go together.
Not everywhere, but anyway, I liked it. I thought it had a nice kind of charm to it. So I do recommend
I
that.
haven't
It's much smaller than Tillamook, but you can go taste cheese, and they actually have a wonderful like specialty food section with lots of cured meats, but then like fish and jarred like sardines and pickled herring and like all kinds of stuff like that. That's like, oh, I could really make a nice meal from just yoink,
Right.
yoink, yoink, yoink. So
Yeah, if you know what
I
you're,
really
if
like
you know what you're looking at, like me and Wes, which would be like pickled herring. What do I put in
know,
that? Put with
there's stuff.
that. I wouldn't know
will
what
help
the
you
fuck
out.
to do with
Delilah will
pickled
help
herring.
you.
I'm not gonna lie,
We'll
but
be cultured by the time we're done with this
bro,
podcast.
we're getting there. I just figured out pickled herring was an actual thing. So
We're gonna rename it the Education of Cole Leslie.
Yeah, please.
So, that's okay.
exactly.
We're townies that are trying to learn. Like
We're
what
just
the
faking it till we
broader
make it,
world
you know?
has
Do what you
to-
like. There's nothing wrong with
has to
that.
offer.
Okay, so important questions.
Yeah.
Question number 1: what is your favorite sandwich cheese?
Can we go before she does? so I don't
Dubliner
look like an idiot?
Irish
Yeah.
cheddar.
Dublin or Irish cheddar? Okay,
Ooh.
Cole new.
Munster and sharp white cheddar.
Munster,
in
that's
combination on a grilled cheese
Oh,
with a
Okay.
little bit of honey
a little bit,
on the inside, like
Well,
the
we're
Frank's
talking about
hot
a goddamn
honey.
turkey sandwich right
Munster,
now.
No, just fine.
It's tasty.
I guess a grilled cheese sandwich is technically a sandwich. I was thinking you were talking about like meat
Well,
sandwiches.
no, or on a meat sandwich, whatever.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
No,
I mean, both are sandwiches.
Swiss.
Between bread.
Swiss is my
off.
go-to. Yeah. I love Swiss, like a turkey, Swiss. I used to do this all the time as a kid growing up. My mom kept lunch meat in the house, turkey,
Yeah.
and I would make a turkey and Swiss sandwich and put it in the toaster. And I just
Wait, a
felt
toaster or a toaster oven?
like toaster oven. You know
Okay,
what
I was gonna say you made a.
We never had. I don't think I've
What
ever.
the hell?
I don't think I've ever owned the pop-up toaster, but I felt like a gourmet motherfucker, and then put the Dijon on it, and
Yeah.
bam,
Oh, yeah.
I'm good.
a little
Favorite
apple
sandwich?
butter.
Sandwich cheese?
I mean, kind of depends on where you're going with
You're gonna
it.
say brie, aren't you?
No, I am
Okay.
How
definitely
about a
not
meat
going to say
sandwich?
brie.
How about a meat sandwich, like a turkey or a ham sandwich? What would you put on?
Ham.
Or grilled cheese.
I like
So ham,
ham,
is the go-to.
salty, delicious. I'm an
Yeah.
Alpine girl, so I'm going to say Gruyere or Comté.
Ooh.
Those
choice.
are just my favorite cheeses in general, and they melt beautifully. Like it's a good time. Get kind of a French onion soup kind of vibe going on. But I would be remiss if I didn't say good old medium Tillamook cheddar. Native Oregonian can't beat it.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Nothing wrong
Like,
with it.
It's
You can watch them make it
always
at the Tillamook Cheese
tastes
Factory.
good.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
And sometimes I'll
agree.
put like roasted broccoli in the sandwich, broccoli
There's
cheese sandwich.
Leslie face,
It's
you know.
delicious.
What?
Do
Broccoli
it.
in a sandwich?
Yes.
Do you cut it up like thin?
No, I just roast it in florets.
Oh lord.
And you
then
stick
you
the
put
whole
it-
thing in between bread?
Yeah.
I feel like that would break through the bread.
No, it's in small florets.
Oh no! I do not.
So you
sorry.
just chop it up a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, small.
Okay.
A roasted
okay.
broccoli?
Roasted broccoli
Dude.
and shit ton
First
of
of all, I have
cheese.
to like
no.
force myself to eat
Okay.
broccoli. So
I'll
we're gonna
make
have to
this
work
for
on.
my wife.
I'll
Yeah,
try it.
my
I'll try
wife's
it.
gonna
I'll
mock
try it.
me after hearing this.
What
and
is
see
just
my
broccoli and
reaction.
cheese sandwich?
Yeah.
Wait, broccoli and cheese?
Broccoli and Tillamook cheddar.
Yes.
Butter on the other side of the bread like a grilled cheese.
Roast the broccoli first.
Okay.
And then make a grilled cheese like normal.
Do you put like
Healthy grilled cheese. We'll
like
try
a
it.
stone ground mustard or just cheese and broccoli?
Dip it in tomato soup.
I'm gonna try it. That sounds like a justified way to eat a lot
Do
of
you
grilled
like
cheese.
broccoli? Do you like grilled cheese sandwiches?
I do not like
If
broccoli.
I have to eat
Oh,
if I have to eat broccoli, that's going to be the way I'm
My
going to
body language
Yeah,
is showing just how uncomfortable I am with the thought
Yeah.
of
I
broccoli.
love
Right.
broccoli.
Here's the
especially
thing: if
roasted
my wife's
broccoli.
like broccoli for dinner, I'm like, okay, can we roast it and put it in a grilled cheese sandwich that I dip it in? Is that? Then
That's
I'll
a good
eat-
option.
That's a broccoli. That's
Totally.
a broccoli option.
My wife says
It's
broccoli or cauliflower for dinner, and I'm like,
Oh,
that's
cauliflower.
great. Like, I'm going to go to Burgerville real quick. and I'll be
Oh, cauliflower. That's enough. But no, roasted broccoli is the best way.
That's the way to do
best
it.
way. Yeah.
My husband's also been super into spreading Portland Creamery Sweet Fire Chev
Yep.
on one side, which is Chev with a Marionberry habanero compote. You like mix it all up, spreads that on one side, and then mozzarella on the other.
Got a little-
and
little
my-
Bomb diggity.
that's like his thing right now,
Little
and
spice.
so
Oh, that's
he
awesome.
he just wants me to keep bringing home the Sweet Fire.
Okay.
That sounds
All right.
amazing.
Oh,
You
that
gotta-
sounds so good.
gotta
Like
get
it adds the
started.
heat and the creaminess, but then you get the goo from the mozzarella.
Yeah.
Respect. Okay. All right. All right. Moving on. We've got a Westco wine update. A little bit of an update. Wesley, Ian, and myself were up there. I don't know. When were we up there?
Last Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday or Wednesday. We were up at the vineyard. We were doing some pruning, and we pooped out early because we're
Pussies.
pussies, basically.
Says the guy who wasn't there pruning.
Yeah, exactly. He was jabbing
also-
people in the
yeah,
arm,
okay. I won't even
sticking
go
things up.
That's
their
all
nose.
right. You're saving the world.
I
giving
appreciate you
COVID
guys. No, I
vaccines.
appreciate you
That's
guys
fine.
so much.
You're up there.
Like you guys work.
Anyway,
you guys work so
we-
hard. I appreciate
We
it.
went for a walk, and we actually were able to access the other part of the property that we'd never been to.
Right.
And walked around. So we went down the gully and up to the other side and saw the property from a whole other angle. And I'll tell you what, it was beautiful.
It's a gorgeous property.
It got our juices kind of flowing. Like, oh, we could put this here. We could do this with this. You know, obviously, you know, these are all very early kind of ideas. It's all just ideas right now. But ideas are kind
We're
of
dreaming, not doing. But,
yeah.
but
It's well, we're doing slowly.
Sure.
But you know, sometimes things have to start with an idea.
Right.
But it was a lot of fun. It was cool to get over there. It was just
Right.
beautiful, peaceful. We saw a big old like jawbone of a horse or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they buried it and it worked its way to the surface.
Oh.
Two just giant horse jawbones.
Yeah, or a
Was that
critter
a-
dug it up.
One of the two.
We'll see. Yeah, we don't know.
that was me,
So
guys.
we're-
That was me, guys. Sorry.
You've already been
That was
over
my
there.
horse when I was younger. I just didn't know what to do with
We,
him, so I put him in the
so-
I can't imagine what
You
that's
guys,
like.
you guys
I
think
can
there's a lot
appreciate
of
it.
work pruning? Just wait until shoot thinning comes.
We've done some shoot thinning.
Oh no, not like actual
Sucker
shoot thinning.
thinning. Sucker
Yeah,
thinning.
you just wait until there's like 45 shoots per vine, and we're having to make the same kinds of decisions we're making with pruning, but on a microscopic level.
Oh, we're excited.
It's fine. You guys will make it.
Get
I
some good
promise.
outside times. Vitamin D,
Yeah.
All right.
man, you know.
Yeah.
On to our sports minute.
No, not onto our sports unit yet.
Oh,
We have one other update.
Sorry,
let's
a little
go.
ahead of us.
Exciting things, real exciting things. Two separate conversations with two people this week that have complementary skill sets to the three of us. So we all have a
Oh.
very similar skill set, which is
Yeah.
part of the problem.
Big
We're
picture,
good at
like,
everything
big
but
goal.
details.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm personally, we're not going to go into great detail about this, but I'm personally very excited about a couple of the people that we've talked to that
Right.
they're like we talked to them about the project and they're like, cool, let's talk more.
Right.
And
Yeah.
how can I help? How can we kind of make this work as far as maybe a long-term relationship or maybe just a little bit of help here and
Right.
there.
Yeah,
So
we all have these we have like three big idea people all merging together, who all came to the same idea and we felt like we have great ideas together.
Right.
But then when it comes to narrowing those things down from big picture to small, that's where like the Wozniak Steve Jobs combination doesn't exist in this group. No. And so we're bringing in Wozniak for the three of us that are all more of a Steve Jobs mind. Not at all saying we're anything like Steve Jobs, but I'm just saying
that's a
big picture people versus
I mean,
detail people.
right.
And although all of us have different skill sets in different ways, the way we look at businesses and entrepreneurial projects is sort of very big picture, and then honing in is like, okay, tell me how I did.
We're all
had a bad
willing to
idea.
work.
Right, it's
we
big
all
picture
love these
energy.
big ideas.
Yeah.
But organizing things
Isn't our strong suit.
is not.
I feel like we're
So-
running headlong into a vineyard with potato sacks over our heads, and you can kind of like see out of the little holes.
Yeah.
But it's really nice. And you know, as an entrepreneur, like you have a very strong skill set, but there's also blind spots.
If you don't know your
Hiring
blind
people
spots,
that can come
if you
take
don't know
care
your
of your
blind
blind
spots, then you're
spots.
not going to be successful though. So I agree with you, Stefan. I'm excited too.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, we'll have exciting updates in the coming weeks.
Yes. Like finishing a couple.
You know,
things.
that's part of the thing, though. Is like what they're doing is not exciting. It's like it's minutia. It's exciting for us.
It's just
like,
stuff that
you know,
we're like,
but-
we need to
anyway.
finish this.
I need
And
someone who knows how to build macros in Excel because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
I can collect all the numbers, but then I just sit there and look at them.
I need someone who
Yeah.
can put a collar on a suit so we can make a logo and finish the detail in the design I'm making.
Yeah, because we're supposed to
How the
bottle.
fuck do I do this?
Yeah,
We're bottling in
we're-
a month,
yeah,
and we
we're
don't have
there.
our label.
So-
anyway.
Oh,
So
we
we're-
got
we're working
so
it
many,
out.
So many mountains.
We're working
to
on.
climb.
On to
So
the
many
sports
mountains to
minute.
climb. On to the
Quick
sports
60
minute.
Quick
Let's go.
update, and this is just.
Yes.
I don't even know it's technically sports, but Jose Canseco, who I fucking can't stand, and just is a despicable person. I read his book first of all,
Juiced.
so I'm not judging him based on nothing. I've read his entire biography, and I understand who he is. He got knocked out in 12 seconds by this guy named Johnny Football. He's a Barstool Sports like intern on Rough and Rowdy, which is like this
God.
pay-per-view boxing event
Rough
they put
and
on.
Rowdy is the
It is
best
so good.
entertainment on the internet.
Like Rough and Rowdy would be like the kind of thing where Stefan would box like somebody from Domaine Serene or some random place in the valley.
Which
like,
I've been trying to set up. I brought this up
I know,
last
this
week.
is
I was like,
Wesley's idea.
let's do
like
a benefit
Stefan against
charity
Jim,
boxing event.
Like
I'm a
Jim
lover, not a
versus-
fighter.
Jim from Furiosa versus Stefan in a
Oh, shit.
12-round knock.
I
Yeah.
get a bat though.
So
Give me
Rough-
a bat.
But Rough and Rowdy is just this like
I still
you
don't
know,
think I-
You just get
celebrity
Nacho
boxing
Libre
match
pants.
thing.
That's all you get.
And Jose Canseco was scheduled for a bout with this kid from he's an intern from Barstool Sports, and he got knocked the fuck out in 12 seconds. And it was so funny to watch because he was like, he made up, like right when he got done, he made up an excuse that he was like, his back was injured or something
Oh,
random.
of course.
But, you know, it was just like retribution.
Right.
For,
Also,
like, karma.
Dame got snubbed as an all-star
Oh,
starter.
God.
Oh.
He is the baddest
Luka
man.
Doncic
He's a
was the starting point guard
Yeah, look
over
at
Damian
Doncic.
Lillard.
Doncic is pretty fucking
Yeah,
good.
he's almost
But
as
if you
good as
look
Damian
at-
Lillard.
But if you look at players and coaches, they all voted for Dame, and it was
Yeah.
people in larger markets that voted for
Yeah.
Luka. So
Definitely
It's fine.
small market team
If
getting
the players
fucked.
voted
the
for
last
you,
3
then you know you're
years
the guy.
when Dame's got snubbed, the second half of the season, Dame just goes on a tear. So honestly, keep snubbing Dame and see what happens.
That's bullshit. Yeah.
You asked for it.
Well, Bradley Beal had this happen to last year. Then he got on the All-Star team. Dame will be on the All-Star team next year because
well,
he got
Dame's
snubbed
on.
this year.
He's
on.
a
He's a
reserve.
reserve.
no, but
yeah.
he'll be the starter. next
starter.
year. He
We've
has
been
to
saying
be.
that for 3 years.
Okay.
You're right. You're
We're
right.
just a
you're
small
right, you're
market.
right. I have much
Lucas
more
is
than
small market. It's bullshit. All right, let's move on to what's beautiful, what's brutal. By the time this podcast airs, Yamhill,
hosting inside.
woo, Yamhill County
I'm so excited.
moved from extreme
high risk.
danger risk or high
High
risk,
risk.
extreme risk to high risk.
Right. Which still
we're
isn't
we're
great,
only
but
high risk now.
We can
so
host
yes.
at 25% capacity or 50 people. Wow.
It was empty.
Somebody's
It was
got a
empty.
tiny tolerance.
It was empty.
It was empty, and the empty bottle was slipping along that.
It's
All right,
fine.
I'll
It's
empty
fine.
that.
It's
I'll
fine.
edit that out. Not empty that out.
Okay.
Anyway, we are sorry. How many people? We get a
50. 25% of inside capacity
Right.
at a maximum of 50 people per indoor dining space.
yes.
I'm excited. It feels good to be moving. Like, we've put in all the work. We've done the things. We've been cautious. The vaccines
It feels
or,
like a graduation.
you know,
like I'm finally
precautions are
graduating
happening.
from high
Right.
school and moving on with my life. Like that's moving. Like I think there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Is like the way it
Like,
feels,
I'm
you
going to
know?
book out a restaurant reservation 3 weeks in advance, probably. just so my wife and I can go back and
Yeah.
feel some semblance of normalcy, right?
I don't think you're alone. I think
it's
you
the-
better book it out because
It is the light at the end of the
there's a
tunnel.
lot of people who are
Right.
going to want
I think we're moving towards it. We've
Yeah.
And so
Anyway.
that's huge for Yamhill County.
right.
Interestingly enough, Washington County and Clackamas County moved down into a moderate risk. So things are happening there. They have fewer restrictions. So I'm very excited. We talk
I think
about,
a
we
mob
talk about
boss.
this every week.
Yeah, I think a mob
I
boss.
want to
paid
have
off.
to eat. I want to have to eat on Saturday night for the first time inside for the first time in I don't know how long, at Oswego Grill, which it was okay. Wouldn't say it was the best meal I've ever had, but it was nice to take my girlfriend out
Oh,
Oh,
we
and like
gotta
go to a
talk.
nice
We
dinner,
gotta talk.
and yeah, it was nice to sit inside.
You went to Oswego Grill.
We went and ate there.
Yeah, you can go get a decent steak there.
It was fine.
Yeah,
I didn't have
it's
a
totally
steak,
fine.
but it was fine. It was
Yeah.
like 6 out of 10.
What did, I don't know
Maybe
what
5. But it was awesome to sit inside and be like, wow.
Yeah.
Like maybe things
Feels a
are
little more normal.
progressing to whatever the fuck normal looks like in the next 6 months.
Right.
Yeah, exciting. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Oh, the Dundee Hotel. So they're not going to brag about themselves. They're really sweet people. Jenna is the general manager. I believe is her title.
I don't know.
Anyway,
She's
she's
great.
the one running all of their hospitality program.
Yes.
When we had our big snow and ice storm and a lot of folks lost power, a number of hotels in the greater Portland area, including some in our valley, raised their prices because demands went up. They dropped their prices to $99 a room, and it was first come, first serve, all of their rooms.
Wow.
So they really took care of our community. And they wouldn't tell anyone about this. This wasn't about
Yeah.
publicity or looking good.
Yeah, and they booked
This
out
was
quick.
this was them taking care of the
called
people they love,
integrity.
right?
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
a lot of our industry members that that live on Wilsonville Road or whatever, lost their power for 6-8 days. We're spending a week with them, and it didn't cost them an arm and a leg, and they went above and beyond. So, Dundee
Amen.
Hotel, we love you.
Yeah. What a
Way
amazing
to
gesture.
step up to the
We
table.
are gonna
and-
hopefully have them on the pod,
Yeah.
or have Jen on the pod and
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about a little bit more about them because good things are happening over there. To be continued.
Yeah.
To be continued.
Sweet people did a really good thing. Really proud of them.
Okay, brutal.
Tiger Woods crashed his car.
And who knows what's going on with him, but
Serious leg injuries.
sad. I mean, I just watched the 2-part documentary that just came out, I think,
Yeah.
on Netflix.
Yep,
and
I've seen it.
it was, it's like eye-opening to see a guy who basically grew up being expected to be the next second coming of Christ, according to his dad.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And I just
no
didn't-
pressure.
I just didn't understand you look at the guy and you think, God, you're such an athlete. I mean, all the things you think about professional athletes, right? You just judge them.
The world is yours.
The guy has basically been expected to be who he is and has lived up to the expectations and past that almost. And it's just really sad for me to see when this happens to somebody, people forget about his humanity. I mean, it's like he's a human being. He has kids. And it's like, will he be able to be at Augusta? Will he be at the Masters? Like, who gives a fuck? Is his neck okay? Like, will he walk again? Is he going to be able to recover from this? Is he going to be able to be with his kids in the future and be okay? I mean, so it was just kind of sad to see, to be honest with you.
Well, single car crash.
No.
Not a lot of details out there yet.
Not a
but
lot. It's
Maybe we'll
it's
never get them. But
speculative would be unfair, but who knows what happened? He may have been texting, or maybe somebody jumped in front of the car, or he could have been.
he's had trouble with substance abuse.
He's recently had surgery, and the speculation is that he was probably under the influence of painkillers, but that's complete speculation. We should not push that. So I'm just saying that's what people are saying
Yeah,
out there.
no,
but
it's
who
a
knows?
shame. You hate seeing somebody throw. I don't know.
Yeah.
Get injured and I don't know. Not
Truly
take care
beautiful
of themselves.
or brutal.
We'll see what truth comes out. So
So, on the other, we're just curious. This is a brutal subject. We're not sure what it means. Some California wineries are going public. So this is the
Like
first
they're being
time.
publicly traded.
Yeah, so they're going public, as in they're going to be stocks available for, and I'm not sure the exact ones, but for the first time since 1990. So it's just an interesting fact in the wine world.
They saw GameStop go through the roof, and they're like, "Oh, we can
Well,
figure
yeah,
something
we can-
out.
who knows?
We can."
okay, so yeah, Cole. What I mean, you brought this up in our pre planning. So brutal. Why is this? I mean, is this brutal or just interesting, or what's your take on it?
Well, to me, it's kind of sad to see something that's deemed as a craft and as, an individual
Artistic
market,
expression.
an artist, which we're trying to get into right now,
Yeah.
and seeing it go so corporate that it's on Wall Street. I mean, who cares if a stock goes up or down? That, to me, means basically they don't care about what their wine tastes, and they don't really care about their customer experience.
Maybe.
The bottom line is all that matters. So, for instance, if a fire happened, they wouldn't, make the best of it. They would do whatever it takes to cut costs rather than make the best customer experience they could have out of.
Maybe so.
So, to me, it just kind of is a sad note in the wine world that a winery would go public. What's the point of that?
Well, it'd be
Right,
interesting to know, talk to them, see what their reasons are.
Right.
Sure.
Do we have one or two wineries in Oregon that are
I guess.
public? I know Willamette Valley is.
Yeah.
That might be our only one.
Well, but even Willamette Valley is interesting because it's
that's-
like pseudo public.
It's not a on the Wall Street market.
It's not being
Yeah.
traded.
yeah, you can buy it.
Can you?
Yeah, you can just go buy it.
I know you
Yeah,
could
can go
buy
shares.
in to be part of their
No,
ownership
you can go
team.
buy. You can go on to Robinhood or whatever and go buy shares right
Well,
now.
fuck Robinhood.
Yeah.
Well, I would just say, in the interest, because California is sort of the Mecca of wine in America, to see these massive wineries have to go public.
But generally, like
It's-
a
it's
corporatization of.
It looks like to me the indication that corporate, concentration is even streaming into the wine world now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with COVID happening, it's going to happen even faster.
Right.
So to me, it's brutal because of that.
Are there any big cheese houses that are publicly traded? Is there a Parmesan producer or a, whatever within the
Tillamook's
states
not
at least?
public.
Like,
I don't know.
Not that I am aware of.
Yeah.
Probably pretty regional, huh?
There are some that are owned by larger outfits, like Emmy Roth or.
it's the same within
Land
craft beer where
O'Lakes.
Anheuser-Busch will come in and purchase. And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Publicly traded though, I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I can't speak to that.
I'd buy stock in a cheese company.
I mean, just what we saw with GameStop and all this stuff. To me, the Wall Street's bullshit. I think that's just what it's come down to. Is
It's a big fucking casino
it's a big
for rich people.
WWE wrestling match, and there's no reality there.
Well,
And
the
so-
1% can gamify it until someone else beats them, and
Right.
they're like, "Oh, actually, we're not going to allow that outlet because somebody played our game better than we did."
Right. So I like to see
Oof.
a craft maker
Oh.
be able to make it.
Yeah, go.
You're getting the
something
juices
else.
flowing.
Get this man another beer. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
To me, wine is beautiful because it doesn't involve that shit. But whatever.
I agree
whatever.
wholeheartedly.
The whole craft production scene is supposed to be about community and locale
Place,
and
yeah.
terroir and like
What's the subtle differences between this place and that?
Right.
And
Wine is a farm
passion.
product.
Right.
Yeah.
It is a farm product.
Yeah.
And the further it gets away from that, I think
Yeah.
it's to the detriment of the
Right.
craft. The commodification of art should be something that is
right.
That's a
And like
beautiful
way-
I was
lightly.
even
Beautiful
super
way of phrasing
hesitant
it,
when
yeah.
Jackson family came into the valley. Now they've been good neighbors. I don't have bad things to say about Jackson family. On camera or off camera.
think they've
Like,
retained
I
the-
think they've done a good job
Yeah.
of enabling the local producers they've purchased. They're doing their mass production side. The La Crema brand is going to grow, and it's going to be Willamette Valley. And I haven't had much of their recent production, so I can't speak to the quality. But it is really like I think that's a fear of a lot of us in a small region as we grow and expand. Like, what are the outside influences going to be that come in and dictate the direction we grow?
Well,
Sure.
I've watched the Oregon wine industry change tremendously just over the last decade, even
Right.
less. There's a lot more investors coming in, whether
Right.
it's Jackson family or just
Or
private,
Louis Jadot, or
just private
whoever.
money coming in, and it's getting further and further away from someone who grows grapes,
Yeah.
decided to make wine out of it, and is just trying to make their way
Right.
through the marketplace,
Yeah.
which is what I grew up on.
Right.
So it's really hard to see my dad try to find his way in this ever-changing industry when someone comes in with a few million and decides they just want to own
Right.
a winery in Oregon. Well, he grew up here, he's born here, he's working the land, he's making the wine, he's doing all the things that you're supposed to be
Right.
doing. And it sucks.
Yeah,
it
and they
hurts.
set themselves up right on pace with him,
Right.
even though he's worked his entire life to get there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and the great thing is, like, when you come to Oregon, you can find hosts tour companies, and like this isn't a plug for our companies. There's other great companies, but like
But they're just the best.
you can find folks that know who the local producers are in the same way that you understand the cheese game, right? Like you can come, we could take you, and you can sit with Jackson
Because
and Ayla
if you just
Holstein.
Google
right?
best Willamette Valley wineries,
You're
guess
gonna
what?
get you're gonna get the
Yeah.
top 10 people who have paid for Google ad dollars.
Yeah.
Well, or flown out a blogger,
Right.
You
Right.
know, and whatever.
And we
so.
can have you sit with a winemaker in their barrel room or in the house, and you
And
get
that's
that
the way it
organic
used to be.
Oregon
Yeah.
experience.
It used to be in someone's garage,
Right.
and like when my parents started tasting wine, they said you brought a roll of quarters with you, or it was just free.
Wow. That's awesome.
And now it's like $50 for tasting. Like,
Right.
what
Yeah, it's a different
happened?
world.
Right.
Yep.
This,
Right.
this is a perfect transition into
Secret
our
got
next
up.
brutal. There was an article that we found that basically the short summary of it was that organic and green movement in Burgundy is creating this essentially corporate. It's like concentrating all the power of the growth of the industry in the corporate sector because they have the money to grow organically and to put the chemicals to not put the chemicals in the ground and to do the extra money it takes to biodynamically farm or organically farm. So it's just an interesting question to look at. Is it worth, going totally green? Like, for instance, we're all trying to farm wine right now.
Right.
Are we buying organic organic compounds?
Right.
Are we farming our grapes organically? No. To get in, we have to do it the way that's old school, right?
I mean, the vineyard we're on has been farmed organically since like 1987.
Well, we're not getting certified organic.
It's
but-
not going to be
Right.
certified, but it's farmed organically.
Well, so let's take that step further, like biodynamically, or all the other vineyards in the valley. What they're seeing essentially in Burgundy is that the barrier to entry to get into that organic or biodynamic level
Right.
is so expensive. It's keeping the little guy out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the little guys
That is-
already are only like a total of 2.5 acres, right? Like you're sharing a vineyard space with 6 other families
right in Burgundy.
in Burgundy, right? So
And it's
Your row, and yeah, it's different.
It's just a very debatable subject. I mean, if you talk to somebody who's farmed like Robert Britton about organic farming, he completely, doesn't believe in organic farming, and that's because you're killing the entire biome of the grape when you're spraying on those sulfur,
right.
versus spraying on a specific chemical that only kills one tiny bad virus or whatever that's on the grape.
But it's
so,
not within the organic regimen.
correct. So it's not as
Sounds like we
simple-
need to get Robert on.
We need to
That-
get Robert.
That sounds like a fun conversation.
That's going to be a 6-hour episode. But
Well,
let's
let's
do
go.
it. Let's do it.
We need a lot more beer and wine.
But I've talked to Robert about it's not as black and white as people think, right?
Right.
yeah.
No.
Organic is not all good, and traditional farming is not all bad. And to say, well, we got to keep the little guy out just because they're farming traditionally, well, in their mind, they might be taking care of the land better than the people that are farming and spraying sulfur on everything. So
Right.
it's just an interesting conversation to bring up. It's not necessarily brutal. Because
It can be
we
brutal for
actually-
small farmers.
We
Yeah.
all support
Right.
going green and generally that,
Farming
that whole concept.
responsibly, right?
Absolutely.
But again, like then we get to talk about governing bodies. Like, does the organic certification board or the Oregon Tilth board actually have the best interests of the environment and farmers in mind, or
Is it
are they
data-driven
getting
or not?
paid for a little seal that you put on your bottles
Right.
that everyone feeds into from a marketing perspective?
That's that's exactly the point I'm trying to get at. Is it necessarily the best thing in the world, or is it just what the sort of club fee is to get in and sell the wine?
Right.
And that's that we're trying to get the bottom of that, I guess.
Well, and I think from the consumer standpoint too, there are a small portion of people that truly understand what it means to buy organic, and for other people, it's just kind of a snobby virtue signaling.
Yeah.
It feels like a Portlandia episode
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, everything I buy is organic, and
They don't
but
really know what that means.
I dive into farming practice with my guests, and you see them glaze over. It's like,
Yeah.
so this really wasn't important to you because you didn't understand the terminology to start with.
yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Anyway,
Yeah, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
right.
I think that phrase applies to this, but I just felt like saying it. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode.
Thanks for being with us. This
Yeah,
was so
thanks
much
for-
fun.
Thank you
Thank
for
you, guys.
inviting us into
It was
your
fun.
lovely shop.
Yeah.
hole, and Wesley got some footage from.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll
get
have
some
cut
B-roll,
that in
we'll
by
send some
now.
over. Yeah.
And I really encourage all of you out there, come visit
Good company.
Good Company Cheese Bar and
Bistro.
Come eat their tasty food, buy their wonderful selection of alcohol.
Yeah.
Didn't really talk about that. Very well curated wine and beer, etc. And grab some cheese, grab some charcuterie, grab some truffle oil, and make a little feast at home.
Random question. Are
Yes.
you guys doing cocktails to go?
Yes.
Okay, so cocktails to go. Buy the cheese, buy the charcuterie, get that paired cocktail. If you are taking it home, you can do the experience from your house. It doesn't have to be
Yep.
inside or outside
Amen.
in February.
There you go.
We
Yep.
accommodate all COVID comfort levels.
There we go.
Yep.
All right. Thanks again. If you enjoyed this content, please like, follow, subscribe, share with your
Share it
friends,
all over.
and
Share.
send us an email if you have feedback.
Yeah, if I pissed you off, tell me in the comments. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. It's gonna be.
I got a
Cole.
thick skin.
It's gonna be Cole if it's anybody, but.
Are you kidding me?
Or Ian.
And don't email me if I piss you
I'm the
off.
most
'cause I
offensive.
give a
Don't
the
email
group.
me though.
You-
I don't want to hear it.
fuck. None of us give it. Yeah, only Wesley.
Careful what you ask.
All right. We will see you next week. Thank you.